about crop marks. We've discussed a little bit of what they are, and that basically means when the color comes to the edge of a document, and then you need to add some extra color to and add crop marks to show the printer where you want your document cut. So if you have, so let's say here, and let me create this. If you have a document, I'm just gonna go ahead and pretend here inches 8.5 by 11. So let's say that you have you're creating some kind of flyer, and you have, I'm gonna put a block of color here. And I'm gonna go ahead and put a colored block over here. So these right here are bleeds, and you can do bleeds. It depends on what you're doing for your design, but you can do bleeds 4 sides, which this one only is bleeding on 3 sides. It's bleeding on the right side, it's bleeding on the left side, and it's bleeding down at the bottom. Now, I always just go ahead and pull the color out. I don't really care because you can actually tell it how much when you print, when you export your PDF, if the printer wants a PDF, which more than likely they will, they're not really going to ask you for your InDesign file unless they're having some issues. So you can actually tell it just to show like 1/4 of an inch of a bleed. So in this instance again, it's bleeding on 3 sides. So if you go to, obviously, if you go into File, Export, as you export this to a PDF, and let's just go ahead and give it a name. Let's call it testing crop marks for the purpose of this assignment. Okay, and in here you want to go ahead and choose PDF print. PDF interactive. This is actually if you're doing something online, so you want to choose PDF print. Select saved. Then you get this window. Then you're going to see that there's like a press quality, a smaller file size, and a high quality print. So the smallest file size is extremely compressed. A press quality, like if you're doing business cards or anything, press quality is literally for the printer. High quality usually is what I give the client. But this is the lowest, the smallest file size, and then it goes high quality is the next one, and the one with the biggest size is the press quality. So once you're in here, so let's say that we're sending this to the printer, so we select press quality. I always select this window right here because what this does, it automatically opens up the PDF, which you want to check before you actually send it. Because I have made mistakes where I actually have everything for my crop marks, but I don't tell it to export the crop marks, and I just send that over to the printer without looking over at the PDF, and that is a problem. So you have here, you put all printers marked, which you don't need all this information. I mean, sometimes they ask you for registration marks, sometimes they ask you for color bars, page information, bleed marks. So I'm just going to keep it simple and just go with crop marks. Okay, so one of the things that you have to keep in mind when you are selecting the crop marks, you want to make sure that the part at the bottom, even though is filled out, because even though you told it that you want to go ahead and print crop marks, you still haven't told it how much from the inside out do you want to go ahead and show. So I'm going to go ahead and have this bleed just 1/4 of an inch. Again, look how much I pulled this color out. It doesn't matter. You'll see here in a second. So select the crop marks, select your bleed, and go ahead and click export. And give it a second, and it opens up the document. Okay, so here's the document. You notice the document looks a little bit bigger than an 8.5 by 11, but these crop marks actually tell it where to cut, so you follow that imaginary line. You can see it horizontally, and you can see it here vertically. So that's what you need to do. So it's always really easy to export like a full document crop marks. Now, let's go back to InDesign. So let's say in this instance, you created some business cards. And the business cards need to be, they need to go ahead and need to be 4UP. What does that mean? So let's say you design the business card in InDesign or Illustrator, but the printer says I need 4UP on a PDF. So this is how 4UP would look like. Okay, but you still need to go ahead and tell it to have crop marks. You can tell where they need to be cropped because of the block of color, but again, there's no bleed to this. So let me go ahead and delete these three here. So this is, I grouped this file right here. So now, so like a standard size business card is like 2.5 inches, 3 inches wide by 2.5 inches tall. Okay, so let's go ahead and ungroup this. So this box, the box of color, it is, if you look at this, it's 3 by 2. Or 3 by 2.5, something like that. But let's say I'm doing it 3 by 2 here. So what I want to do, because these have a bleed, and again, you need to go, the color needs to go out farther than the size of the crop mark. So what I can do, I can just go ahead and make this. Let's say that I'm gonna go ahead and add. Let me think about this. So we do 3.25, so 3.5 by 2.5. So that adds a quarter all the way around. So I'm gonna put 3.5 by 2.5. Okay. Again, this is bigger than the actual file size that I want to create, right? So then what I want to do in something like this, so I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, well, this is the business cards. I need to, in order to create crop marks, which is really easy to create, there's a crop mark scripts, you have to go ahead and tell them where you want them. Okay, so I'm going to create another box here. Then this one is 3 by 2. Okay. So if I come over here and put this on top, this is where I want the crop marks because this is the bleed. So if I need to go ahead and do 4UP, I'm going to select this, move it to the left a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and put it on this edge. I'm going to select copy and edit, paste in place. I'm going to put it over here on the right. Just line it up with the edge here. And I'm going to go ahead and line this one up too. Okay. And then I'm going to come here and do copy, paste in place, and select this down here. Okay. So now we have 4 business cards laid out with bleed. Now we need to do our crop mark script. So you want to go ahead and select the inside box, hold the shift key. You have to actually have this selected in order to create your crop marks. Okay, and because this is the box that we want the crop mark script to use it for guidance. Okay, so now we're going to go into Window, and then we're going to go down to Utilities, and then we're going to go down to Scripts. Okay, and then from Script we go to Application, we go to Samples, we go to JavaScript, and then we look for crop marks, which is probably going to be right here at the bottom. And then you double click on that. Then you're going to, this is the length of your crop mark. This is the offset, you know, like how far out do you want to go back. So let's say we want to make it, I want to make my crop marks 12 point. And I want to do my offset to be 6. Okay. And I'm okay with the stroke with being about a quarter of a point, which is usually what they are. Now they also give you the option for registration marks. But for this instance, I do not need registration marks. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect that. And then right here, when it's at where it says draw marks around each object, entire selection. If I do it the entire selection, then it's going to do one crop mark here. I don't want to do that. I just want to do each individual object, and I select OK. And I go ahead and move this out of the way, close that off. So now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. You have your crop marks. Super easy, extremely helpful. Back in the day, we used to have to create them line by line and mimic them with like white boxes, and it used to take a while. This is awesome. So make sure you save this video so you remember how to do this. You're going to find it so helpful. Talk to you later. Bye.